Hello once again, Naughty Hands. How you doing? Anywho, now I am here to show off to you one of my inventions that I just absolutely love. Okay, now I've seen and heard a few of you guys on the internet going, well, 550 this and 550 that, and dispenser this and dispenser the other, blah blah blah. Well, how many feet of 550 quarter in your dispenser? Well, I don't know about you, but in mine, I've got about 1,500 feet. Yeah, you heard me right. That's an entire spool, baby. Now, how did I work this out? Pretty simple, really. Okay. Now, if you look behind that, you'll see a grommet. Okay. Well, what I did is I went to a place that makes banners, and the guy was nice enough to put a grommet on each side, left and right, and then the one in the middle. Those grommets are there because this is Molly compatible, this particular bag. See these little flaps here? This goes into your Molly gear, webs or snakes through your web gear, the webbing rather, on your gear, and that way you can attach this to your backpack or you can put it on your gear, what have you. That way you'll have an entire spool of 550 cord. Now, with the end run through that grommet there, you just pull, and there you go. 1,500 feet at your disposal. Prometheus would be proud. Okay? Now, how does that work, you may ask? Glad you did. Well, you open this old bad daddy up. There we go. Yeah, it takes a minute for it to get in or out. Okay, let me wrap up what I just pulled. There you go. An entire spool, 550 cord, mounted. Boom. Less than $20 to put this little rig together. Now, snap diggity. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, the way this works is pretty simple, really. I went down to the local hardware store, that depot that sells stuff for the home, whose name I cannot mention. Okay. Well, I got myself some scrap lumber because I always have these little pieces of scrap, odd size shapes and what have you that they don't need anymore. So I got that for ultra cheap. 4 of these nuts right here. The rod that it goes through, and the rod was actually this length when I purchased it, so I didn't have to alter that in any way. And then, of course, you take the wooden portion here, and I cut it into a square originally, but the square shape would not fit into that dispenser bag. So I went back and I revised the design, and I made it into an octagon, which fits much better. Okay, well, after I drilled the hole through there and put it on, I noticed that it was actually snug enough fit that it created threads. Can you see those threads in there? I'm not sure. Anyway, it actually has threads. Yep, there they are. You can see the threads in there. Okay. Then, underneath, I have a washer. Okay. That acts as a bearing. Now, there's the end of the spool, and down at the other end is the same, equal and opposite. You've got the washer against the end, the piece of wood there, and then the 2 nuts. Okay. Now, you might be wondering, why are there 2 nuts on the outside instead of 1? Well, simple. When I designed and built this dispenser originally, I was using the kind of spool that had a little metal cap instead of this plastic one. And the metal cap actually works a lot better as far as dispensing is concerned. And what I did is I would take one of the nuts and I would run it down, and it would actually fit inside that metal piece, put the washer on, put the wooden end cap on, then the other nut to hold that all together. And it dispensed beautifully. Okay? But when I switched out my spools, I noticed that this plastic cap did not lend itself to such ease of use as the metal one did. So, there we go. So I ended up having to figure out how to reconfigure what I did in order for it to fit the plastic spool versus the plastic cap spool versus the metal cap spool. All right. Then, as you can tell, I got the nut, screw that sucker on. Oh, come on, you little bugger. Of course, when I go to demonstrate, it's just like when you take your car to the mechanic. It never makes that noise when you take it to the mechanic. When I go to demonstrate, stuff does not want to work. There we go. All right. Screw that little bad daddy down. Now, the secret here is to not get it to, not too tight, not too loose. There's a happy medium you got to find. See, when you tighten it up too much, the cardboard will stay still, but the roll will move, which means that you're going to end up snagging inside your bag. That's not cool, all right? So back it off, quarter turn at a time. There we go. Okay. There we go. Now the cardboard is spinning with the rest of the cord. Now, since that is set, you go and you take your other nut and you tighten that one down. There we go. There we go. And you snug them down on both sides. And there you go. 550 cord spool dispenser. Now, word to the wise. This is something I found out after I put this together, and I was just so proud of myself, right? Well, what happens is, if your cord is being dispensed from the center of the spool, you're good to go, okay? It'll keep spinning and spinning and spinning. But when the cord gets down to the end, if your spool is loose, see how loose those cords are? Okay, if the spool is loose on either end, when the cord gets down there, that tension is going to take that cord and bury it way down in there, and it's going to seize up your spool. So then you have to take this thing out of the bag, sit there and unwind it by hand, and then get it going again, all right? So keep that in mind, and if you guys figure out a fix for this, please let me know, all right? So there you go, a 550 cord spool dispenser. Oh yeah. Naughtyhands@yahoo.com.